I'd like to start by giving an introduction into a set of 6 demos that we're going to be doing. And whenever you look at a piece of technology, it has to be for something. It can't just be a kind of a curiosity. If it is a curiosity, it has no real impact in the world. And if we think about all the problems out there today, there's only one problem that's really worth solving. And it's always been the only problem worth really solving. And that is, how do we maximize social good? And even that's not really a fair question, because using the term social, we imply that social structure is what we need to best serve a group. So I suppose more precisely, we should be asking, how can we create a structure for groups of people such that each retain their individuality but also prosper? And this is a really, really hard problem to solve. This has led people to form religions, societies, political parties. People have tried smart cities, philosophies, economics, and more. But each of these systems have actually created immense suffering and honestly failed to deliver a scalable solution. Now, technology, especially things like cell phones, PCs, and the internet, have really gone a long way to forming a foundation for a group good based on the access to information, communication, and documentation. If we look at how the internet as a piece of infrastructure has served groups and humanity, it certainly has provided a level of equality that's really been hard to match in previous centuries, with the possible exception of the printing press. And so our belief is that the problem of maximizing group good can be achieved through a technology that empowers people to co-create and benefit from their own solutions and share those solutions with groups at scale. So we believe that the technology required to bring about this kind of revolution is a smart markets technology. Smart markets represent a monumental leap forward, not merely in how we think about trade, but how we think about cooperation, value, and the power of decentralized intelligence. And that's really what we want to demonstrate over the course of 6 demos. And the idea is that we take the audience from having heard nothing about what a smart market is to seeing the world's first programmable chocolate. And we use programmable chocolate because we really want people to understand this is not a smart contracting platform, this isn't a payment rail, this is a lot more. And this is real chocolate that exists because of code that we put into our networks and protocols. And this chocolate gets better every week when you buy more. And the real magic is, what does it mean to say that we have better chocolate? Is it a matter of perfecting price? Is it optimizing flavor? Maybe it's roast strength, or what about the lack of child labor in its production? And we mean all of that. And very, very importantly, we don't know what the best chocolate looks like. Nobody knows. How could you? You can't predict this stuff. It has to adapt. It has to be discovered. And does the world really need smart chocolate? Not per se. But the point of the ultimate 6th demo is to show that if we can do it for chocolate, we can do it for coffee. We can do it for housing, for airliners. We can do it for hospitals and energy and just about anything that matters. Our 6 demos will be given when we're ready at each step. So ambitiously, we're hoping to do 1 demo every month, but let's see how far we do on that. Today, we're going to start by showing you what does it look like when we integrate GPTs within a blockchain. What does that matter, and what sorts of things can that do? So at this point, having sort of given a very high-level context, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to dive into ChatGPT. Okay, so here's a ChatGPT standard interface. And I might say, for example, what is the latest block on Solana mainnet? Doesn't really matter. Let's start with this. And I really want to see, I want you guys to sort of catch what it did there first. It went searching the web, right? It's not like GPT went onto Solana main chain, the actual data structure, and pulled the record. It had to go through the internet. And because they're data scrapers and there's a lot of data available on the internet, it can say with semi-confidence that the latest confirmed block on Solana's mainnet is block 327 million odd, right? Okay, so the first problem that we have is we're not inheriting what we call trustless search. We're relying on the fact that what's been pushed onto the internet. If I created a website called the official Solana landing page, and I said the latest block was block 400 million, there's a chance that ChatGPT would pick up on that and say, well, the current block height is 400 million. So it doesn't feel very impressive. It doesn't feel very rich. I might want to say, list the first 5 transactions in this block. Again, it's searching the web. And very, very critically, it says I can't directly pull the first 5 transactions because there's no reliable way to get you that information. So that's currently like what's out there when you try and integrate a GPT into a blockchain. And that's really sort of disappointing for a number of reasons. Google's real kind of invention was bringing natural language programming to the masses. GPTs are several evolutions better, and yet we're not really getting what we would want by bringing a GPT into a blockchain environment. So at this point, I'm going to hand over to Barry, who's going to demonstrate how we've gone about integrating GPTs with our chain, to describe the general process at a high level, and then to demonstrate what you can start to do once you have this integration done correctly. Barry, over to you.
Just for those who don't know, Claude is a competitor to ChatGPT. They pioneered a new protocol called MCP, Model Context Protocol, which we have integrated into our blockchain. What we have here is Claude speaking directly to our blockchain. So we ask it, what is the latest block? It already has the context. And it actually checks this up directly on our chain. Demo gods. Let's ask it again.
Barry, I like it when things don't go as smoothly as they should, because it proves it's real.
There we go. You can see the data it got back. There's actual data, not just web scraping. And then it also infers some information of that. So you can see the difficulty, you can see the previous hash, everything of the latest block. So yeah, this isn't really useful yet. So let's just ask it how many transactions in block. Okay, so it goes, it finds the block, pulls it out, sees, oh, there are 5 transactions there, can get the transaction hashes, and it sees also the mining Coinbase transaction. So now tell me more about those transactions. There we go. It's using it knows to use the hashes. It knows to go out, and it's pulling information on those transactions.
And of course, where all of this is building to is that even today in blockchain, we don't really have a very good place to go to find stuff. We've got a lot of kind of Alta Vista curated websites where you can go to buy something like NFTs, but it's really, really chunky and cumbersome. It's not really tuning this into sort of a natural language framework, and it's not really bringing you stuff that's relevant to exactly what you want.
It's timing out again. My internet is acting up, but let's just ask it to. There we go. So there it got the transactions, and you can see it pulls them, and it can pull out the metadata of these transactions. So these are actual minted NFTs on our network. So it also knows it appears to be an NFT creation and transactions for music assets. So, and it gives you a little summary over there. It says all the transactions were created from the same address. But what I'm interested is I want to see the address it was sent to, get the balance of where they sent. So it automatically knows to pull out the correct address, knows to pull its balance, and goes, oh, wow, look, this address has got a massive NFT collection. There are about 55 of them.
So Barry, just to sort of interject here, here's the point. This is discovery based. This isn't a canned response. This isn't a stored procedure. This is going down a chain of reasoning and thinking and getting different data slices, different things. And very quickly, I think it starts to dawn on one watching this demo, the sorts of things that you can do with this. And we're going to start dipping our toes in the water here by ramping up the sorts of things you can do with this integration.
Yeah. So it uses the on-chain metadata that was saved when minting these NFTs. These NFTs weren't minted by us. It was somebody just using the chain. just happened to stumble on this. So it picks up the rarity of the NFT. It knows about the music artist, and now it can immediately infer certain things from that. So if I upload a document, just want to find that quick. So here's just a NFT investment strategy document we got off the net. I can ask it, use the uploaded doc and NFT information and tell me which ones should be the most valuable according to the info got.
Now, at this stage, you can start to see how crazy a fully integrated GPT into a blockchain can get. You can take someone's investment thesis. It might be a report from Narvik. It could be something from Coinbase. It doesn't really matter. And you can say, take this investment strategy and help me comb through this data set, and then tell me what you believe is more valuable than something else. And this really starts to demonstrate how you have a trustless data set established through mining that isn't in any central location, that there are no intermediaries between you and it, and you can combine it with really, really complex data and have it come up with something that's very human readable, that's very intelligent.
At this point, we have built this out to a point to where we can search and interpret data and go through the blockchain and transactions and get all the metadata. And as you can see, make a lot of inferences from that. Next steps for us would be for this to be able to connect to our marketplace nodes automatically. So we should be able to very soon be able to directly initiate a trade from this information over here. And this is still, remember, me interacting with Claude and asking it to do things. At the later point in time, we will have agents running in the background with information like this document I uploaded, investment theses, all kind of things, and a transaction history that can automatically trade on my behalf.
If I could kind of summarize one of the biggest problems for an individual trying to interact with a blockchain is you have to always worry about two fundamental problems. How do I know what I know? And the second question is, where do I go to find X? This isn't just about optimizing trade. This is about being able to manage DAOs at a sort of a GPT integrated level. This is about having simple language get you to where you need to be and get you something that is trustless, that you don't need to interrogate the source. So the next obvious place to go is to say, now that we can do this sort of thing, is there anything else you want to demonstrate on cloud at this stage, Barry?
No, this is it.
The next logical place to go is to turn this interface into a wallet. And we've started going down that process already. We might at the tail end of the next demo show the finalized wallet. But Barry, if you can show what the wallet looks like currently.
There we go. Just unlock it quick. It's as simple as that.
And the reason we want to show you this wallet called Peerstone is that once you have cheap GPT integration, as you were looking at the sorts of things that Barry was doing, you can now go into your prompt and say, build me a transaction for $100 million worth of grain, where 30% of that grain is carbon neutral and 10% of that grain is GM free. And it will search for the relevant data and it will construct that order book for you on your behalf. And the only thing you need, this is very much going down the vein of what is referred to as zero UX UI. And what is zero UX UI? If you think about if you live in a cold country and you have a thermostat in your house where you regulate the temperature, you have to go and punch a bunch of numbers and there's some kind of user interface. In a very futuristic setting, the perfect interface is no interface. If your house was smart enough that it could just monitor your body temperature and automatically adjust the temperature to just keep you the right amount of warm, that's really good UI UX. And so you can see how clean and abstracted away everything is. There aren't a bunch of charts, there aren't pairs, there's simply a prompt and access to a wallet. And why this matters is the next thing we do behind Peerstone is we are introducing a concept that we call a homunculus. For those of you that are into reading up on philosophy or science fiction, homunculus is a little guy that lives inside a box. He follows along with what you think and what you are, and then tries to emulate and copy that behavior. It's like a little agent, abstracted away from the physical world. The homunculus is where ads go in the future. So when people need to flood you with ads, your homunculus learns you. It emulates you. It represents your values the way that you think. And it can consume hundreds and thousands of ads every day without receiving fatigue. It understands your medical conditions and can make sure that what you are doing is in compliance with the hopes and dreams you have for a better you and the things that you need to operate on. All of that can be abstracted away into a very clean UX UI. And this really, really, really matters when you want to think about how do you take blockchain and get it into a state where there is mass adoption. And it can't be that you have to go through AML KYC. It can't be that you have the fatigue of having to manage and monitor charts. None of that really works. But there's a second, deeper meaning to the demonstration that you've just seen this morning. Barry, thank you very much for that. I'm glad it tanked out twice, because you can see we didn't just stick a front end onto something else. It really, really works the way it's intended. What is the future of the world? And whether we kind of like it or not, our future is going to be one where we have to collaborate not only with our fellow humans, but where we need to collaborate with agents as well. Agents need to be able to operate in a trustless setting. You need to know that when you reach out to an agent to book your stay at a hospital, or when you're engaging with an agent who has to represent your beliefs when it comes to carbon emissions, or when you engage with an agent who's going to make an investment for you and your family, there needs to be a level of transparency and trustlessness and accountability. So these agents need a way to represent that to your agent, your homunculus running on your Peerstone wallet. And there has to be that degree of transparency and accountability. These agents need a way to make payments on third-party people's behalfs. And as soon as you have GPT and agent integration through model context protocols with a blockchain, you can not only do it your agent representing you to the blockchain, as Barry was demonstrating earlier, but you can now bring in agent to agent level thinking. And this is something that Google is pioneering, and we are certainly integrating into our tool chain. And so we started off this demo saying, how do we think about collaboration? How do we think about value? How do we see technology being the great equalizer that is going to enable maximizing group good? Well, the first thing that you need to have is you need to have a very, very easy to use, intuitive tool that gives you distributed intelligence at your fingertips. And that was the first demo today. And I hope the impact of that has really been carried across. For those of you who came in late and missed the initial demonstration, or want to share this with friends and family or fellow thought leaders, a copy of this will be made available online probably within the next 48 hours. And we will share the link out on our social, on our Discord, and over our LinkedIn. So for those of you following along, please go out there to grab the link and share it with those around you. The next demo that we do is going to be probably even more crazy than the one you saw today. And that's kind of the point. These demos should invoke a kind of a sense of, wow, that was really something I haven't seen before, and I can really see how this can impact people at a practical level. And as we go down these 6 demos, we hope not to scoop ourselves. Every demo should be better than the one that came before. And so we'll also send out, at least with a week's warning, the next group meetup with the next demo. We hope to be ready to do that for you guys in a month, and watch our socials for that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to seeing you at the next demo. Have a good day.
Definitely. Thank you so much for joining, everyone.
Bye.